Hi, everybody. Well, excuse my MIA, but it seems every time there's a new political incident, I just have such trouble responding, particularly with the antics of our current president. I have a lot of trouble just kind of making sense of some of it. But today, I am going to make sense of the Sergeant at Arms' latest topic, which is Election 2020. We're currently in the middle of a pandemic, which means election 2020 is taking a back seat. It still has to happen. We know that. Boards of elections, I'm sure, are scrambling to figure out how to make sure this happens, however it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. Having said that, I have to go back to about a year ago, the prediction I made, or I don't know if we're going to call it a prediction or if we want to call it I don't know what we're going to call it. But about a year ago, I said, I feel like the only way we're going to be able to beat Donald Trump is by nominating another old white man. So I think the only way that an old white man is going to get beaten is by another old white man. Guess what? So in the last couple of months, we actually have confirmation that it's going to be one old white man against another old white man because we came down to Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders. Either way. Once Elizabeth Warren dropped out, it was old white man against old white man, which, if that's the choice we have to make, then that's the choice you have to make. I'm going to go ahead and applaud the Democratic Party for saying, you know what, we don't want to take any chances. We don't want to take any chances. And so if the only option we have is to nominate an old white man to beat an old white man, guess what? That's it. So having said that, the other thing that I said and I tweeted about this is if Joe Biden nominates Kamala Harris as his running mate, he has a really good chance of winning. Really good chance of winning. But the word is that he's considering Kamala Harris. He's considering Stacey Abrams from Georgia. And he's also considering Elizabeth Warren and Amy Klobuchar. So the thing that Joe Biden did say is his running mate will be a woman. So we know that for sure. The best choice he could make is if it's a black woman, because then he confirms the black vote. He likely confirms the vote of a few other groups of color, underrepresented groups. That probably will confirm a few of those as well. So that gets him most of the way to winning election 2020. Having said that, I still feel like Joe Biden isn't necessarily the best candidate. He wouldn't be my first choice. But again, we don't want to take any chances. My hope is that Joe Biden wins election 2020. He becomes the next president of the United States, and we are finished with the era of President Donald John Trump. We get to a place where we are regrouping and getting ourselves back to status quo. If Joe Biden can just get us back to status quo, I think we'll be okay. But then beyond that, my hope is that for election 2024, the Republican Party finds a candidate or nominates a candidate who is a qualified, reasonable, responsible, respectable candidate. At this point, I'm so dismayed with the Republican Party. This is as low as I have seen the Republican Party in my lifetime. I mean, the sacrifice they made to win the presidency, it's shameful to me that they were willing to sacrifice this country just to win the presidency. And what's even worse is most of the Republicans who were in office when he was elected president resigned or retired. Why? Because they knew they had done something that they should not have done and couldn't stand by and watch it anymore. And so they got out. and left us with this. So my hope is that they attempt to redeem themselves, that they do something to redeem themselves for this mess that they've gotten us into. And I'd like to see a fair fight. That's what I want. I want a fair fight for president of the United States between a qualified Republican and a qualified Democrat. That's what I'd like to see. Is that a fantasy? Probably. But as far as I'm concerned, the Republican Party owes us that. So, having said that, let's see what happens. Again, we're in the middle of a pandemic, so things are up in the air with election 2020, but it has to go on. So let's keep our eyes and ears open, see what Joe Biden has to say, and see how his campaign unfolds. And election 2020, here we come. So still tweeting SGTATARMSUSA. And I will see you on the next installation of the Sergeant at Arms.